Following the lifting of the national state of disaster, recipients of the 350 Social Relief of Distress grant need to reapply. The grant will be provided under a new legislative framework. For more on this, I'm joined now by Sassa spokesperson Paseka Letsatsi. Paseka, good evening and thank you very much for your time. It will be happening under a new legislative framework. What does that mean?
Good evening, Tabu, and thanks for having us. Definitely, it will be happening under the new legislative framework. This means that to disperse the 350, we were basically using the national state of disaster. But because the national state of disaster for COVID-19 came to an end, we therefore had to use the new legislation, which is the Social Security. So we had basically to comply with certain legislative prescripts to make sure that everything is above board.
So what essentially means that everyone who had been admitted in the database would no longer then be in that database and they would need to reapply?
Yeah, now they need to reapply, but the good thing about it is that we have the well-oiled machinery. So if people reapply, it's no longer going to be tedious. Our technology is such that it can take as many people as possible. We're able to process them. We no longer experience problems which we basically might have experienced 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's just that we need to make sure that whatever that we do, it's in compliance with the law.
So stress test has been conducted on this, because I mean, essentially what you're saying right now is not just an additional people who were left out. It's actually everyone coming on. And has your system been stress tested to say when they all come in their numbers, it will be able to hold that load?
No, definitely from where we are, I can simply say we are, the system is ready, and we are confident that we're not going to experience any problems. But in any case, we are also alive to the fact, or delighted, that people who would be reapplying are those who are part of the system, majority of them. So we do not think that we'll experience any problem, but we are watching the system very closely to make sure that we understand, or if there's any problem which might arise, we have our teams to work on it very quickly. But from where we are, we can actually confidently say that the system is ready. We can then be able to take these people as many as possible. But we just want to emphasize and request people, Tabu, that in any case, if they have the bank account numbers, we are appealing to them that they must give us those account numbers, because people tend to not give us the account number. It's a tedious process. So we are indeed appealing that whatever you do, if you have a bank account, please give it to us. Yeah.
The previous conversation that you and I had were around people who actually were getting money from other agencies in government. Others were actually employees of government that were applying for these 350 Social Relief of Distress grants. Have you stabilized your system and tightened it so that it's as robust as being able to eliminate those kinds of glitches?
Not true. I think what the situation has taught us is that as government departments and government entities, if we work together, we would then be able to do things easily and as quick as possible. Like, for example, we are able to bounce the information with other government agencies like your UIF, your SARS, your Home Affairs, and so forth. And the second one is that those loopholes which were there, where people will basically abuse them and go through the system, our IT department managed to make sure that they close those particular loopholes, basically based on what the AG found. So from where we are now, we know, I think I must admit, we know that there are chances. There are those who want to defraud the system. However, we have tried to make sure that everything is watertight. But those who will try to cheat the system, we just want to issue out a warning to them that they do not necessarily want to invite the men in blue at their doorstep unnecessarily. This money is meant for people who do not have anything to buy or to do whatever. So please, if you know that you have resources, make sure that you do not necessarily play that space and give other people a chance to be able to get what is due to them.
Speaking of giving other people a chance, I mean, is there expectation? I mean, we know, for example, as far as the employment situation is concerned, according to the numbers from Statistics South Africa, things have become worse. So more than likely, there are more people today who are out of employment than they were during the time when this scheme was put in place. So are you expecting to be then signing up more people more than the current numbers that you have?
Not necessarily. I don't think the numbers will definitely shoot high. It might be a percentage or two in terms of the difference, but we don't necessarily expect it to skyrocket. But obviously, from where we are, we are ready to make sure that we help as many people as possible. Hence, we are appealing, Thabo, to say, if you know that you've got any other source of income, please do not take chances because the resources are extremely limited. We can only appeal to the conscience of people to say, if you know that you have money, do not try to cheat the system. For an example, a person will try everything possible not to give us their banking details with a view that we are going to be able to pick up that they have money. But we are saying, we are South Africans, let's make sure that we give a chance to those who have that particular, move on within that particular category. And if you know that you are able to, you work, you are able to get money, you are employed, I mean, especially if you know that you are a public servant, we are going to catch you as quick as possible because we use the person number. So we are just appealing to people, and we think that people will respond positively. We trust people that they will not take chances, but if they take chances, we are ready, and we can assure you our systems will catch them.
Now, let's talk then about that very same issue. Others would not necessarily want to be defrauding the system by not giving you their banking details because they really do not have banking details, or they are not bankable at this particular point. Others could have lost their banking cards and so forth and things during the floods. There could be a number of issues that people are faced with. Have you come up with additional channels that would ensure that at least people are approved and are able to access those funds?
Thank you very much, Thabo, for that question. I think people do not necessarily have to have a bank account. They can go to the post office, they can go to ShopRite or Checkers, they can go to Boxa and so on to get their money. So we have all multiple channels where people can then be able to get their money. I mean, for the fact that 2 months ago, all these shops came to us and said, we are ready to partner with you to make sure that we reduce the number of people who are going to go to the banks, or we reduce the number of people who are going to flock to the post office. I mean, it's a plus for us. So there are multiple channels where people can then be able to play or to go and get their money. Besides, we're also trying to make sure that we reduce the number of people who go at the same place all at the same time, because obviously it will defeat the same purpose which we are trying to avoid the spread of the COVID-19. And I'm sure you are aware that the numbers have started to go up, and so also we know that these guys came at the right time. So we would appeal to people that they must use whatever channel that is available to them. They must not flock all of them to the same venue and you find those snakes which you basically see at the post office where people want to flock there and get their money.
All right. And there have been some requests for the cash send system or protocol to be put in place. When will that be finalized, or has it been finalized?
We are just dealing with the final details, and once that is done and dusted, we'll definitely be releasing a statement just to say these are some of the channels which people can use and so on. But I think we can confidently say that we will definitely release that statement very soon, so that people can be able to use all other methods available. I mean, we have the perfect infrastructure, Thabo, in this country. So we cannot confine people to use one channel when we have so many other channels that people can then be able to use freely without any problem.
Paseka, appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on tonight, speaking on behalf of Sassa, the spokesperson, Paseka Letsatsi.